Claudia Gastrow. I'm a senior lecturer in anthropology at the University of Johannesburg, and I'm currently here at STIAS as an Isolanso Fellow. So my research is based in Luanda, which is the capital of Angola. I've been doing research there for about a decade, and part of the reason I was sort of drawn to it as a space is precisely because it has this very rich and complicated political history. It was one of the major sort of socialist states in Africa in the 70s and the 80s. It went through a really terrible civil war, and it's really at a stage where there's, in some sense, a lot of remnants of kind of older, still existing authoritarian system, but there's a lot of space for sort of political experimentation. What I'm really interested in is how people have experienced authoritarianism, and especially the ways that ordinary people's lives are shaped by that, and how people, if you want, link through to the state under authoritarian conditions. A lot of what we know about authoritarianism on the continent has really focused on kind of patronage flows, on elite figures, and it's very difficult to figure out in a country like Angola's, which doesn't have, for instance, members of parliament that link through to specific areas, or very clear links between sort of elite government officials and people on the ground, how it is that people are brought into and involved in either the reproduction of these systems, or how they're drawn into sort of contesting these systems. And so the one part of urban politics and authoritarianism is to understand how people live under these systems and how they negotiate them. One thing we know, though, if you look at it out of the literature on politics and the state in Africa, is it tends to be very implicitly, in fact, implicitly gendered around men. And so when I started my work, I was really more interested in sort of unofficial systems through which people were brought into the state. But as I've progressed with my Isolanso Fellowship, both with reading and sort of a short stint of fieldwork prior to the COVID pandemic, what really struck me was the way that questions about women were really left out of analyses of Angola. But if you think more broadly of the big works on the African state, actually left out of those as well. And so whilst I've been doing the fellowship, my work has kind of been pushed into what is a new area for me, which is the question of gender. And so that's sort of where I want to go once I'm able to kind of pick the research up again next year, which is really focusing on kind of gender and power and open space in Angola.